Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another edition of Ask Huda, your show where you get to ask your questions about any aspect of Islam, whether it pertains to beliefs, whether it pertains to rulings, or even aspects of spirituality. I am your host, Salim Chaghtai, and together with our Sheikh, which is Dr Hatem al-Hajj, today we will be answering your questions about the aspects of Islam. Remember, our phone number is 00202 38555 248 and 249. We have two lines for you, and also you can email us at ask@huda.tv, where we will process your questions after the show. Please keep to our rule, and remember there's only one simple rule. That is to keep your TV down when you do. If you do get through, please keep the TV noise down, and otherwise there will be confusion in answering and dealing with your question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Dr. Hatem al-Hajj. How are you, Sheikh?
Good, alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And alhamdulillah, we have Doctor with us in lieu of Dr. Muhammad Salah, who is on Umrah, and you ask Allah to accept it. But alhamdulillah, we have a worthy replacement, as he is Dr. Hatem is the Dean of the Sharia Academy of America, which is also has a branch here in Egypt as well. Sheikh, to get straight into the questions, we have a question from Brother Hamza from Saudi Arabia. He had a question regarding giving interest from a bank that has forcibly put it into his account. Is it permissible to give it to his relatives?
Alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala Rasulullah. All praise be to Allah, and blessings and peace be on his last messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The money that was acquired through illegal or illegitimate means is a money that needs to be dispensed of, is a money that he cannot use for himself, and he cannot use for people who are considered his dependents. And the people that are considered dependents by the agreement of the very vast majority of scholars would be the roots and branches, ancestors and offspring. Otherwise, people may receive that money, which he will now get rid of. It's a riddance, it's not charity per se. It's a matter of riddance. That riddance, some of the scholars felt that he should get rid of it in matters that are sort of not particularly very honorable.
For example, I've heard
such as toilet paper for bathrooms and stuff like that. Yes. And other scholars felt that the money itself the money itself will not be tainted. So it depends on how it reaches the final recipient or the person who will receive it through gift or charity or transaction, should not really worry much about the source of the money, how it was initially acquired. So if I, for instance, initially acquired it through illegal means and I pass it on to you or to my brother, not to my son, not to my father, because I am responsible for them, to a brother or someone farther away, then according to the favorable position, that would be a good way of riddance.
Okay, so as long as a relative, but not anybody from his direct dependents, but somebody like his blood brother or somebody, if you like, to the side of him, or his contemporaries within the family, then within that should be fine. Yes. Okay, Jazakallah Khair, Sheikh. Yes, already we have, where the lines are full, we have Sister Safiya from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Assalamu alaikum salam. I have one question.
Yes, please go ahead, sister.
Okay. If I have my period, and my period is over,
yes,
and I have my bath, and I have my ghusl, and maybe I go to have a pee, and I just wipe and I see just the stain. Do I have to repeat the ghusl, or do I can just go ahead, maybe if I'm fasting?
Okay, so just to repeat, so your period is over, you've come out of that, and you're taking the ghusl for purification, and then after that you go to the bathroom. Then you're asking, does that mean you have to repeat it again? Is that your question?
No, I mean, maybe I take a pee and I just wipe with the tissue, and I see just a stain of blood. Do I have to repeat it?
Right, so you get some residue drops of blood. Okay, when you visit the bathroom. Okay. Okay, sister,
Okay.
we got that question. The Sheikh may wish to address that. So.
Yeah, if she can stay online, maybe.
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Sheikh.
No, the issue here is when you find any form of discharge after the period ends, that discharge could be various colors. If the discharge looks like the menstrual blood, then that is the continuation of the period, and that will count as part of the period. Therefore, the period will end only when the discharge completely ceases to come out.
Sure.
Now, if that discharge is a different color, now if that different color is a color of a discharge that she is accustomed to away from her period, completely away from her period, then that discharge is considered to be sort of a natural discharge of the private parts, and that discharge is to be ignored completely. That does not affect the purification, whether it's physical or ritual. So she does not need to remove it by wiping. She does not need to make ghusl or even wudu for it. If that discharge is not like the discharge that she is accustomed to completely away from her period, which is called leukorrhea, and it is common in women. If it is a different type of discharge, somewhat darker, somewhat more turbid, somewhat brownish, yellowish, that, different from what she usually sees, then that discharge is the remainder of her period, and she does need to consider that discharge part of her period, and her period will only end if that discharge completely ends. So she either sees the white discharge that marks the end of the period, or for many women who do not see that white discharge that marks the end, they should just see dryness, or they should observe or experience dryness. No discharge comes out.
So in other words, women generally know what, because menstrual blood has particular characteristics, so generally they know. So if it's that colour of blood, then that's basically a continuation of the period, and unfortunately, well, she'll have to do the ghusl again, because she hasn't really finished. But otherwise, if it's any other type of blood, then this is to be ignored. Obviously, when someone visits the bathroom, they'll clean themselves anyway. So, alhamdulillah, they'll be pure from that perspective. But then it's just a case of she can just carry on, just make wudu for prayer, and then continue on.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. That's very clear. Yes, we have Brother Muhammad in Nigeria on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Barakallahu feekum. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Yes, go ahead, Muhammad.
I just after I had my sahur and I had my morning prayer.
Yes.
And I slept, and I had a dream, and I saw money on my dress, and what I supposed to do that day.
Sorry, brother, we didn't quite catch that. So you've done your suhoor, you prayed your fajr prayer. Obviously, the fasting has started. Then what exactly happened?
Yes.
Brother, I think you need to turn your TV down, because that's why there's a bit of confusion, because there's a delay in the answer. Could you please turn that down? And
Sorry. I slept, and I had a dream that I'm making love, and I saw some money on my body.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you had a dream after Fajr, and you had some emission, and then you're wondering how does that affect the fast or not? Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, brother. Yeah. Yes, we have Brother Tawab from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Awab, sorry. Brother Awab, are you on the line? Okay, they've been cut off, unfortunately.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, so as I said, inshallah, that we'll be answering that question, inshallah. Sheikh, there's a brother Saif from Saudi Arabia. He had a question regarding, it was a long question, but I'm going to summarize it. He mentioned a number of strange illnesses that began to happen to members of his family. Very inexplicable illnesses. They tried to get physicians to look at them, but they could not find any medical explanation. And these have all sort of happened all of a sudden. And it appears, by processes of elimination, that this is perhaps related to some jinn or some kind of magic. How would you advise how to deal with this? I mean, obviously we don't know any particular raqis, people who do ruqya in Pakistan, but what are the characteristics they should look for in asking for this, and also, can somebody do it themselves?
Alhamdulillah. I'm glad that you said that after a process of elimination, because most certainly when someone has an ailment or a disease, they need to seek treatment from a credible physician. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Tadawa ibadallah," seek treatment or seek medical treatment, O servants of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ himself was treated by prescriptions. As Aisha said, before the Prophet ﷺ died, delegates used to come from different parts of Arabia, and amongst them there were physicians, and they would prescribe for the Prophet ﷺ, and she would make the medicine, or put the medicine together for him that was prescribed for him. So I hope that we all do this, and if modern medicine or medicine in general fail to diagnose and treat the condition, then we may consider some other causes, and whether it is jinn or whether it is sihr or it is hasad or it is anything of that nature, which is sort of not physical, like metaphysical cause of illness,
spiritual illnesses, yes, if you like.
Then the treatment in this case would be quite simple. The treatment is first and foremost to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it is not the particular ruqya or supplication or, someone gives you like the best supplication there is. It certainly has to be from the Quran and Sunnah if it is the best supplication. But it is really not the supplication. It is your reliance on Allah, because the one who will answer your question and relieve you from your distress or cure your condition is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first and foremost is reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, most of the people think that they need to sort of solicit treatment or help from a particular individual, which is untrue. It is not impermissible to go to your brother and ask him to make dua for you or to do ruqya for you. But you can do ruqya for yourself, and you can certainly use the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and you can just review any book that will give you more on ruqya. But you can do it for yourself, and you can also seek it from someone else who may be righteous.
And obviously somebody who is righteous as well as somebody who is a person of sunnah, not a person who is a charlatan who is using any sort of maybe black magic themselves to get rid of another type of black magic, which is obviously going to be very problematic. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for that answer. We have Brother Ali on the line from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, brother. Welcome to the show. Please ask your question.
Yes, I got 3 questions. I'm going to be quick.
Yes, please. That'll be great.
Is, about Sadaqatul Fitra. Can I give my Fitra money back home instead of UAE? And my second question is, once I take wudu, before I go for the masjid, if I touch my wife or I just kiss her forehead without any intention, will I break my wudu? And the third question is on behalf of my cousin. He said where he works, his manager is a non-Muslim, and when he walks in, and everybody has to stand up. So according to Islam, he was given a hadith, I don't know whether it's authenticated. According to Islam, is it okay to stand up in front of him or no? Thank you very much.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, brother. We've got that question. We have Brother Muhammad on the line from Germany. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad. Welcome to the show.
Wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Yes, brother.
In view of the importance of truthfulness in Islam,
yes,
how can a Muslim lawyer reconcile this with his profession? especially a practicing lawyer that sometimes has to bend the truth in a court.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So basically, your question is regarding how sometimes in the law, in the profession of in the law profession, especially in non-Muslim countries, there's an issue of truthfulness because you're supposed to represent your client, sometimes regardless of the truth. Inshallah, yes, we'll get to dealing with that question. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh, is it Sister Nada from Saudi Arabia? She had a question regarding: is it permissible to put a parent into a nursing home if they are mentally ill and the children themselves are not able to look after them? So in other words, is it sinful for the children to put them in the nursing home because they are foregoing maybe one of their duties and responsibilities towards their parents?
Well, alhamdulillah, depends on multiple variables here and factors. To begin with, the good treatment of the parents is your ticket to paradise. The Prophet ﷺ was rising on the minbar, and he said, "May he perish." Ragim anfum re'in. Jibreel said to the Prophet ﷺ, "May a person perish, say Ameen." And the Prophet ﷺ said Ameen. And the Sahabas heard the Prophet ﷺ saying Ameen, Ameen, Ameen 3 times, and they inquired from the Prophet ﷺ as to why he was saying Ameen. And he said to them that Jibreel came to me and said, "May he perish, the person who hears you mentioned and not say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May he perish, the person who reaches Ramadan and does not have his sins forgiven for him, and may he perish, the person who has 1 or 2 parents and in their old age and they were not his means to entering paradise." So certainly if you have 1 or 2 parents in their old age, that is like a very easy ticket for you to entering paradise if you will treat them well with kindness and gentleness, and you be dutiful towards them. Now, there are multiple factors here. Ultimately, if it will be more comfortable for the parent, he will be, taken care of better at a nursing home for various reasons. Maybe the availability of nurses, maybe some other reasons. The children are outside of the home most of the time, or something of that nature. And by mutual agreement between the children and the parents, it was felt that this would be the better arrangement, then it may be the better arrangement.
So in other words, the parents don't feel that they've been abandoned. So that's very important, because the pleasure of the parents here is very important.
So in consultation with the parents, the decision should be made mutually in consultation with the parents.
Should
we take some of the...
Inshallah. Yes, we can. Yes, we have a Sister Amina on the line from United States of America. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, I have 2 questions.
Yes, go ahead, sister.
First question is, what is the hukum if you go swimming and you swallow water during Ramadan? Do you have to redo that day or not? And another question is, I have a relative that just got married and his wife got pregnant. Now they want to have an abortion under the assumption that they have a lot of plans. They want to do Talab Alami, they want to do this, they want to do that. So they want to have an abortion. And she's about maybe 3 to 1 month pregnant. So what does the deen have to say? And if you can give a few words about that.
Okay. So sister, before you go, can you just repeat your first question? I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Can you just repeat your first question again?
Sure. Women, you swallow water during Ramadan, not intentionally.
Okay.
Do you have to refast that day, or what is the hukum for that?
Okay, we got that. Okay, Jazakallahu khairan. Yes, going back to the call earlier, we had a brother Muhammad from Nigeria asking about, he had suhoor, prayed Fajr, so the fast has started. He went to sleep and he had some nocturnal...
What dreams will not notify
Yes.
What dreams will not invalidate your fasting?
So in other words, any involuntary emission, whether it be from a male or a female, then this does not
invalidate your fasting.
Okay, but obviously he has to shower and purify himself to continue with his purification for the day. Okay, and also Brother Ali from United Arab Emirates, he had a question regarding Zakat al-Fitr or Sadaqat al-Fitr. Can he give it back home? Presumably he's an expatriate based in the United Arab Emirates. Should he give it back home in food, or should he give it in the UAE where he resides? Which is better?
He should give it where he resides. Usually there is a difference between Zakat al-Fitr and Zakat al-Mal. Zakat al-Mal is given where the property or the money itself is. The Zakat on property is given where the property is. The Zakat al-Fitr is given where you are as an individual. But if there is no one to receive it in your own place, then you can send it over to whichever place of your liking. Certainly, if you send it over to where you came from and to your relative, then it is also joining your kin, which is favorable. So yes, he can send it over, but if he sends it over, it would be favorable that he sends it over to someone who will be his attorney or agent and given that out in the form of food, like in-kind donation, particularly food, which does not have to be, grains that people will not use, but you can give rice, you can give dates, and you can give things of that nature that people will easily use. Now, the position of Imam Abu Hanifa, which is that you can give it in money or in currency, you may act upon that position in cases where there is a great deal of difficulty, given it in food.
Yes, because we face that problem exactly in Western countries where usually the state looks after the poor people, and there's not really the people that we can find to do that. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Also, Brother Ali had the question about he kisses his wife without desire, just out of out of love, but not with any sort of sexual desire. Does this break the wudu or not?
No, it doesn't. It's been reported by Abu Dawood from Aisha that the Prophet ﷺ did do that and went out to pray without repeating his wudu.
Okay.
The kissing of the wife in particular.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. We have Sister Rehana from Kuwait. Assalamu alaikum, Sister.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I would like to know, like the woman who has missed 6 to 7 days of her fasting due to a regular menstrual cycle,
yes,
does she have to make up these days first before fasting the 6th sunnah fasting for the Shawwal?
Okay, it's a very good question. So the sister's asking that if a person misses her regular due to her regular menses, 6 or 7 days of fasting, does she have to make them up before fasting the 6 days of Shawwal, which are highly recommended?
If she can do that, then it would be certainly favorable to do that. But the wives of the Prophet ﷺ would sometimes, Aisha, for instance, may Allah be pleased with her, would sometimes have days left from the previous Ramadan, and she likely fasted the 6 days of Shawwal. So yes, she may fast the 6 days of Shawwal before she makes up for the days of Ramadan. Yet it would be certainly favorable that she finishes the whatever is remaining from Ramadan, which is the Farida, first, and then do the 6 days of Shawwal. If she can do that and fast 12 days in Shawwal, for instance, that would be great. If she can't, then she will fast the 6 days of Shawwal and defer the makeup of Ramadan late to some other time.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. We have Brother Omar on the line from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Omar. Welcome to the show.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I have like 4 questions to ask.
Okay, alright, we'll have to make them quick as you can, inshallah, and we'll try and deal with them. Go ahead, brother.
My first question is, what's the ruling on a situation where an elder walks into a room where you all are sitting down and you stand up as a sign of respect to that person?
Okay, so that's similar to a question we had before regarding standing up for anybody standing up for anybody of respect. Okay, so we got that question. Okay, go ahead with your second question, brother.
A situation where you are seated in maybe a room and an elder walks in.
Yep.
What's the ruling on you standing up for that elder to sit down?
Okay, yeah, we got Jazakallah khair, Akhi, we got that question. What's your second question? Because you got 4 questions.
Yeah, that's my second question. As in you standing up so that the elder will sit down on the only seat in the place where you are.
Right. Okay. So the elder comes in, and he sits down, and he's the only person remaining seated.
Yes.
Oh, and everyone else is
That's
still
the
standing
only
up, right?
My third question is, if a lady has a menstrual period and it has gotten to the end,
Yes.
she takes the bath, that the ghusl after her period,
Yes.
then she finds out, maybe she went to the loo, she finds out that there is still sign of blood, maybe just a little. Is she supposed to do the ghusl again, or just to wait? That
Okay.
even like.
Okay, well, I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but we answered that exact question. And basically, I'll quickly summarize. The answer to that was simply that if it's part of her regular blood, which is known from the menstrual blood, then she has to redo her bath again. But otherwise, if it's just blood which is not menstrual, then it's just considered outside of the period, and she doesn't have to do her ghusl again. I'm just summarizing for the Sheikh. So yes, and your brother, your third question?
My fourth question is, if a brother is a convert and his parents are still Christian,
Yes.
if he wants to go get married to a Muslim girl, does he have to go and see the parents of the girl with his parents, or does he have to look for someone who is a Muslim too to go with him?
Okay. So whether he needs to take his parents with him to see any prospects for marriage, or whether he can just go himself and make the decision himself. Okay. That's okay. Jazakallah khairan. We've got that question. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, I mean, there was a sister from Nigeria who had a question regarding when she goes to the bathroom and she performs wudu, she found that she definitely gets some liquid that is released from a private part. And this happens a lot. So it's not just in her mind, because we clarified that question with her. She actually does see the effects of some liquid. What can she do about this?
Well, if this liquid she sees, on and off throughout the month, it is not particularly related to the period, whether before or after the period, then that liquid is natural vaginal discharge. It's called lukria, natural vaginal discharge. It is to be ignored. It does not require any purification, ritual or physical. It is just to be completely ignored.
Okay, so but if it is potentially, I think the sister seemed to be concerned that this might be remnants of some urine. And if that is the case, then what can she do about that? So this is some very minor form of incontinence. So it's just literally after she goes to the bathroom and for the short time after that.
If certainly the urine would be different from the discharge, and she'll be able to sort them out. And if she thinks that it smells and looks like urine, then this case would be just like any case of urinary incontinence, where if it is permanent, then you make wudu for every salah and you ignore the incontinence. But if it is transient incontinence, then you repeat your wudu again. If it is just transient that will stop, then you repeat your wudu again. If it is permanent, then you will ignore the incontinence and make wudu for every prayer. That is every fard prayer. So you make wudu 5 times a day. You pray the sunnah with the same wudu that you made for Dhuhr until Asr comes in. And then you pray Asr, and then it's just one wudu per each obligatory prayer.
So whenever the adhan comes in or the time comes in, she has to make a new wudu for that time. Okay.
Yeah, but if it is transient, then she'll have to repeat it. Now, if it is something that is completely trivial, or she is in doubt whether there is something or there is not, then we should try to fight obsessions as much as we can, because they could be debilitating. And Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah bestow mercy, may Allah be pleased with him, used to wet his underwear so that he does not get those thoughts or whispers, so he doesn't have to obsess over having something coming out of him or not after the wudu.
Sure, Jazakallah khair. We have Sister Nada on the line from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You recently answered my question about if children have a parent who is mentally ill.
Yes, okay.
And that mentally ill child, if there's a parent who has a mental sickness and who cannot make decisions on his or her own, and the son of the parent is irresponsible, can the rest of the children make a decision to put their parents in a nursing home if the parent would be a danger to himself or to the community? If the parent is uncontrollable, can they make that decision regardless if the parent chooses to go or not, because he or she is mentally ill? That's my question.
Okay, so this is the sister that actually asked that question regarding, so the particulars of the case here are, so there is nobody nearby except that brother to look after that parent, and that brother is, or there's a feeling by the other siblings that he is irresponsible and will not be able to take care of the parent. Therefore, the next best option is to put that parent into a nursing home, and obviously because they're mentally ill, they cannot actually make that decision so they don't know what's really best for them, and they cannot express the fact that they would prefer or not to prefer to live with their parents, to live with their children, sorry.
Yes, certainly. If the parent is mentally incompetent, then the children will make decisions on behalf of the mentally incompetent parent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. It's time for a short break. We'll be back soon afterwards, so please stay tuned and join us again to Ask Huda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Closing the Gap.
Why closing the gap?
In this program, Sheikh Yusuf Estes and Omar Dunlap are going to discuss how to bridge the gap between peoples of different cultures and orientations, the gap between males and females, Muslims and non-Muslims, the East and the West.
Human beings feel like that they're being slighted one way or the other. The gap between the youth and the elders, the gap between various status in the work field and education, and then trying to provide solutions for these particular problems.
All of this and more in Closing the Gap in Ramadan on Huda TV.
We need to strive to know the ruling of the Sharia on a particular incident. Why scholars had to put a lot of effort trying to figure out how to give the ruling on such topics and issues. Islam tells you to look good, to smell good. The reason of the recession was the collaboration between insurance companies and the banks. Some scholars, though, stated that it is permissible for you to insure because you're compelled to do this by the government, by law, but you're not allowed to benefit from the insurance policy.
Women around the Prophet. What do you know about women in Islam? Do you know the role that women played in Islamic history? Sheikh Ismail Rafai will relate the stories of the Prophet's wives in the program, Women Around the Prophet.
Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him, the person he decided that this Quran should stay with and be left with was none other than our mother Hafsa bint al-Khattab. So this whole Quran was left with her. This is a great trust. Khadija bint Khuwaylid. She is afqah nisa'il ummah. She's the most knowledgeable of this ummah. Because she is my mother, your mother, and the mother of all the believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Women Around the Prophet in Ramadan on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ask Huda with Mimi Salim Chaghtai and also with our Sheikh Dr Hatem al-Hajj. Sheikh, we had a question from Brother Muhammad in Germany regarding a Muslim lawyer who is in a non-Muslim court, and given that in Western courts in particular, I can't really speak for anywhere else, that there is the first duty of a lawyer is to represent his client almost regardless of whether you believe that he or she is guilty of the crime or not. And the brother had some general concerns about truthfulness that may be compromised as being a Muslim lawyer. What is the ruling regarding this? What does Islam have to say about that?
Well, I'm not aware if they force you, whether they force you or not in the West to take a case that you believe is like a losing case, or to take a case where you believe the person is a criminal, and your job here would be to get the criminal off the punishment that they deserve. But that would not be allowable in Islam, and I don't think that you'll be forced into it in the West either, because there is like an ethical concerns also that people have in the West, and there is a code of ethics in every profession, whether it's medicine or law or this or that profession. So if you truly believe that the person has actually committed the crime, I don't think that anyone will force you to take the case and defend him when you truly believe that he committed the crime, regardless of the various realities in Islam, that it would not be allowable to lie or to sort of even spin the truth to get someone out of a crime that they actually committed. The Prophet ﷺ warned us of this clearly. He said, I am a human being, and you raise your disputes to me. Some of you may be more eloquent than others, and then I will give a judgment based on that, which is your eloquence in presenting your case. So for whomever one I gave him the right of his brother, let him know that I am giving him a piece of fire. So let him take it or leave it. So if I rule for you because you were more eloquent in presenting your case, I am giving you a piece of fire. Take it or leave it. So it's something that is not to be taken lightly.
Yes, Jazakallah Khair, Sheikh. We have Sister Fatima on the line from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum,
Please,
sister.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because some people, when they are traveling, maybe they are going for Umrah or Hajj.
Yes.
So they take pills in order to take away, to delay their menstruation period.
Sure.
Their menses. So please, is it permit? Do Islam permit that?
Okay, we got your question. So
Because
basically,
a lot of women complain that those pills cause problems.
okay, that's your question. We got that. Jazakallah Khair, Sister Fatima. So the sister's asking, and alhamdulillah, we're very able to deal with these sort of questions, because alhamdulillah, we received a few medical questions today, and Dr Hatem is also a medical doctor as well. So alhamdulillah, he's a doctor in Sharia as well as medical issues. So alhamdulillah, this is a good opportunity to get those questions answered. So Sheikh, the sister's asking about women who are taking pills. I think they're contraceptive pills actually, which delay the onslaught of the period, which will help them which will ease their umrah, ease their hajj, and they won't because they've obviously paid a lot of money to go there, and for them to be stuck there and not being able to complete the hajj or the umrah is going to be a problem. What does Islam have to say about that?
Alhamdulillah. Well, she also mentioned that they could be harmful. The rule in Islam is la darara wa la dirar. There should be no harm, nor should there be any reciprocation of harm.
Yes.
But it depends on the amount of harm and the amount of benefit that is expected. Many people would estimate that the harm here would be outweighed by the benefit. So the benefit outweighs the harm. There is a great deal of hardship that the woman may be, subject to if her period came while she is, performing her Hajj. And if she can manage to avoid that hardship by using the contraceptive pills on transient basis, I don't think the harm that will ensue from using the pills is such a great harm.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh.
So I think it's permissible.
Okay, barakallahu feek, Sheikh. We have a brother Hassan on the line from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother Hassan. Yes, brother, welcome.
I want to ask, can a Muslim woman seek for an elective office in our democracy like this? Can a Muslim woman seek for an elective office?
So is it allowed for a Muslim to run for office in a democratic election?
Yeah, can she come and seek for an election?
Okay, so can they run for, in other words, in a non-Islamic country, I imagine, where they're not ruling by Islam. Okay, so yes, Sheikh, we can probably take this question right here. So, can a Muslim run for office where they're in a non-Islamic system?
Well, An-Najashi, may Allah bestow mercy on him, he was the king of Abyssinia during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and he converted to Islam, but his entourage and aides and courtiers and his staff did not convert to Islam. The system was a non-Islamic system. We were not told that the Najashi imposed an Islamic system on Abyssinia during the time, but he continued to serve as a king and continued to be a Muslim. And in fact, the Prophet ﷺ recognized his Islam and made the funeral prayer for him. And it is also a note that Yusuf sallallahu alayhi wa nabiyyina wa sallam, may Allah bless him and give him peace and send peace on to our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Yusuf also did take a role that was quite a central role in the government of Egypt, and the system was not necessarily an Islamic system. There are other examples that we can also discuss. At any rate, this is a matter of balancing. It's a matter of siyasa shar'iyya. And in such cases, it would be a matter of balancing between the harm and the benefit of moving forward in that direction. It is to be, the harm and the benefit will be estimated by the scholars and students of knowledge in the particular area and the particular circumstance.
And also, I suppose what we also need to understand here is that there's a difference between the system being corrupt or un-Islamic and what your roles and responsibility within that role is. So for example, obviously we know that Yusuf alayhi salam as a prophet will not have committed any sin in his office, and he was given freedom within that area to basically practice as a Muslim. But in a lot of countries where they ask you to pledge allegiance to a system which is not Islamic, or to uphold certain values that are not Islamic and in fact opposite to Islam, would this therefore be a different issue now?
Well, I think, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he actually mentioned about the very story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, that he may not have been able to sort of conduct all of the affairs of the treasury according to his own liking, or according to his own preference, and there must have been certain arrangements for the king and the royalty that he had to yield to. So it is a matter of balancing the harm and the benefit in entirety, because there may be some deviation here or there that you may have to yield to if the benefit overall will outweigh the harm. And this is exactly what Shaykh al-Islam said about the very story of Yusuf.
This is Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah.
Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on him. The very story of Yusuf, it is also not expected that the Najashi was able to execute the Sharia while being the king of Abyssinia. In fact, the aides and the priests and the courtiers in his court, they had so much say and they had so much power, and there were checks and balances, if you may call it this. So sometimes he may have not been able to act upon his own conviction. But overall, if he was able to sort of to promote the Islamic agenda overall in entirety, the rule here is quite obvious for us. It is the lesser of the two evils. It is the greater of the two benefits. So you may attain the greater benefit at the expense of forsaking the lesser one. And you may tolerate the lesser evil for the attainment of the or for the protection against the greater evil.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Brother Mansoor on the line from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mansoor.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, brother.
I just want to clear something on the question you have just attended to now. The caller was asking, can a Muslim woman contest for an elected office? Is asking, can a Muslim woman, not a Muslim contesting in non-Muslim or Muslim contesting in non-Muslim, is asking, can a Muslim woman run for an elected office?
Okay, Jazakallah khairan for that clarification. We didn't catch that. Actually, the detail, the question is regarding actually a Muslim woman running for some kind of position within the office.
Well, the Muslim woman, a woman may not go for the highest office, which is the Khalifa or the Imam and so on and so forth. But otherwise, other kinds of positions may be allowable for her if the environment will be conducive to Islamic modesty, Islamic ethics in terms of, gender interactions and so on and so forth. Whatever it is that a Muslim woman has to live by, if the environment is conducive to that, then it is allowable. If not, then it is not.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Brother Mansoor, did you have another question? I think that maybe was his clarification.
We can actually talk about the standing up because it's related to politics and elders and so on.
Yes. Regarding very quickly,
the question from before.
So very quickly, we had a couple of questions regarding standing up for elders, because there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he seemed to forbid people standing up for him, and he is the best of all creation. So how can we stand up for anybody else who is obviously lesser than him? What is the ruling on this?
The hadith, if you put it in the right context, was during the salah, when they stood up behind him when he was sitting in the salah. But he did also say to the Ansar, stand up for your master, which is Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh. May Allah bestow mercy on him, and may Allah be pleased with him. In other words, if you expect people to stand up for you, then it is such a great sin.
Yes.
If you, out of pride, expect that when you walk into a majlis or a gathering, people will stand up for you. Whoever wants to do this, let him, await his seat in hellfire. But if you stand up for someone who is an elder, out of respect or this or that, then it is allowable from your end. You are the one standing up. From your end, it is allowable for you to stand up. From his end, it is not allowable for him to expect that you will stand up.
Excellent. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. SubhanAllah, let's come to the end of the show. Inshallah, we'll be here not tomorrow, but inshallah the day afterwards. So we're skipping a day for Ask Huda. I'd like to just to thank Dr. Hatem al-Hajj, Barakallahu Feekum, for his expert advice and guidance, and obviously you for asking the questions. Please don't forget to visit our website, www.huda.tv, which has been recently revamped, so please check that out. Also, if you intend to support this channel, which is your channel, then please send an email to support@huda.tv and give us any of your ideas, and inshallah we'll get somebody to contact you as soon as possible. And of course you can email this show at ask@huda.tv for your questions to be dealt with outside of the show. And with that I end with Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. See you soon inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If my love is attached to thee, then from sins I will be free. Each time my heart will beat, your name will resound with heat. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate